Hello, and welcome to Mondays with Meaning. The topic today is around planting seeds. So I'm going to just give a little time as you come on in. Please say hello, leave me some comments, some hearts, some likes. If you're watching this live on the Facebook page, please give StreamYard permission so I can see who's posting. Also, if you're watching a replay, please put replay in the comments. So, hey, if this is your first time here, my name is Angela Ward. I'm a registered nurse, transformation coach, and CEO of Guardian at the Gateway, where we spark seekers ready to heal to find their passion and purpose in their whole lives and their work that they do. So I'm really glad you're here for our Mondays with Meaning. I'm really excited about this topic today, it turns out. I was not certain that I was going to enjoy it as much as it's turning out that I am. So are you ready? If you're ready, give me some hearts, some likes. Let me know you're here watching. You can certainly post comments and questions in the chat so I can see you here and I'll try to respond to them. So do you have a little note paper? Are you ready to go? I hope so. So what I wanted to talk today was about planting the seeds. We are at the final week in January of 2021, and this whole month in the Unveiled Vitality tribe, we have been kind of preparing for the year. We spent last week immersed in the Disruptor 5 days to quieting the negative self-talk little seminar, which I think was really powerful for a number of you. We've also spent time working on creating an intention for this year and preparing how we want to feel at this time next year. And I kind of loosely made this topic about planting the seeds. Like, this seems a good time. I mean, it's not prime garden season, but this seems right. So let me tell you a little story. I am a gardener. I'm not a great gardener, but I have learned some things after living in relationship to this garden. So I've lived on with this property since 2008. This space where I live was actually owned by my mother, and she's had it since 93. So it's been in our family a while, and it's been nice to get to know what happens here over the season. This is what some of the things that I've learned. I've learned that I reap what I sow. I've learned that gardening requires imagination, vision, and collaboration. I've learned that listening to the land, observing the sun, the rain, and listening to the plants themselves helps me refine how I plant and tend throughout the year and over the season. I've learned that sometimes plants lay dormant for a long time before thriving. I've learned that gardens bring many surprises. And I've learned that sometimes we source our seeds from others, our friends, and sometimes we gift seeds to others. So let me dive into each of those topics and explain how they might relate to you. So the first statement, I reap what I sow. So let me explain this. That seems really basic, right? But I actually have to plant something in order for it to grow. If I want lettuce, for example, I can prepare the soil, I can pull out the weeds, I can fertilize and water the space. But if I don't actually put the seed in the ground, I will never have lettuce. That seems really obvious. But how this might relate to you, and certainly how it's related to me in my life lessons, is this preparing state, this wanting to make change happen and doing kind of all this circling around to get ready for change to happen. Is anyone guilty of this? Like preparing all the systems, but not quite actually like putting the intention in the soil. Let me know. So, have you ever gotten stuck preparing your own garden and not actually planted anything? My second point, that gardening requires imagination, vision, and collaboration. So, what I've learned is the process of gardening requires me to understand what kind of space a plant takes up, what kind of room it's going to need, how it might be shaded or how it might shade other plants, how long it will take before it matures, what other plants are companionable for this plant versus what might actually inhibit its growth. Um, if I plant too many plants in an area, if I plant too many seeds in one area, the plants get overcrowded. Now, if you spent time with us last week in the Disrupt the Disruptor, one of the things we talked about was creating space or a container and also simplifying. So, this is this idea of simplifying. We may get a packet of 100 seeds, but you cannot put 100 seeds in one place. We need to simplify and envision where they might go. If I plant at the wrong time, my plants won't mature properly. So I have to be aware if the conditions are appropriate for the application of this seed to grow. I have to be mindful of how the plants mature and what season they like. I can do succession planting and optimize the output of my garden while not depleting the soil if I'm aware of I'm planting something that has a short lifespan. It takes these certain things from the soil. And if I then rotate the crop and put something else there, it will like puff up the soil and make it better. And I'll be able to get multiple harvests from there. So, how this might relate to you. You must develop your creativity and your capacity to dream and vision while staying attuned to how to be in relationship to the process. So, what I mean by that for you, if you're working on planting seeds for this year, is part of that concept around habit stacking, let's say. Like, we know if we plant the shorter growing season, something that might give us a harvest sooner, it might make sense to attend to this smaller task that will then prepare the soil for maybe a bigger task. I hope that makes some sense. And rather than depleting the soil, it will actually, this first task or thing that we're attending to will actually make it us more ready to attend to the next task down the season. It's really important also to understand how this might blossom in your life, how these seeds might grow in your life. If you're planting something you're wanting to actualize, how might it require the space in your life? How might it require your attention? Things like that. So let's see another point. Oh, yeah. Sometimes plants lay dormant for a long time before thriving. So the story behind that, I've planted broccoli numerous times, numerous seasons, many years, with varying degrees of results. Sometimes they are sad and wilty, and other times they get an okay head. But I'm like, oh, my poor broccoli. This year, or I guess last year, we casually threw some broccoli plants out in our front bed. And then we promptly ignored them for the remainder of the season. Occasionally we'd walk by and be like, oh, I think they need water. And we just kind of thought they weren't going to go anywhere. We just ignored them. But guess what? Right now, we have some big, beautiful broccoli in our front yard. And it's January. So, what's the lesson here? That we can put the intention in there, but I really feel like sometimes there's not this need to push too much. Like we tried. It's not like we didn't keep trying at different times to put the plants in and reevaluate, but we had to sometimes let it just be in order for it to kind of come to fruition in its own way. So, how might this apply to you? There are visions that you have for your life that perhaps are not ready for lots of fertilization or a lot of attention or a lot of poking. For example, maybe there's something like maybe you're hoping to feel more peace or you're hoping to feel more relaxed. Sometimes goals like that are a little harder to like put work into, and they are more a state of being. And some of the other aspects of your life are what allow those things to come into fruition. Does that make sense? So I think it's smart around a goal like peace, finding more peace, to examine it, to play with it, to see where it fits in your life, to see what you might have to do to develop a sense of, what peace might even feel like. But then you may have to just put that seed there and let it and trust that it's going to find its time to blossom. Gosh, what was the final thing I was going to talk about? Oh, garden spring surprises. Garden spring surprises. So, this is the coolest part of having a garden. Having had this space for so long is it's become a bit of a wildlife habitat, meaning that we have an incredible amount of birds that come through our space over the season. We have so many hummingbirds. We have flocks of different kinds. We've even had hawks come through here. We've had amazing critters make their way through over the season. And in their journeys, random plants appear. Birds come and poop in our yard and they bring something from somewhere else, and suddenly we had a wild chamomile growing in our yard that we never planted. We've had a plantain come. We didn't plant plantain. We've had multiple different wildflowers appear. And I think that's because we've created this place where life can thrive. How this would relate to you is I can imagine as we start working on planting seeds in our lives and building in these goals, other things might sprout in your life in ways that could surprise you that you never knew could come, that you hadn't anticipated or dreamed could be part of your life. So I'm really excited to see how that can show up for you. And then the final thing that I think is really important to remember is that when we have a barren garden, we need to source seeds from other places. Now, what I mean by that is if you want to grow a garden and you don't have seeds, you need to get some seeds. And it's important to think about where you get the seeds from. Why did my camera just get fuzzy? Whoa. For example, we want to grow corn. There are some problems with corn. Almost all corn in the United States is GMO and non-organic. So when we purchase seed, it's really important for us to make a choice of where we want to source seed. What is seed worth planting? So we tend to take seed from places like, oh my gosh, I'm drawing a blank on some of the names of the seeds. Well, we definitely get things from the Tilth sale. We get things from the heirloom seed companies. We try to get things that are non-GMO. We always get things that are non-GMO, organic, not nothing, like especially heirloom seeds if we can get them. So that's been a real joy to grow corn that is kind of on the edge of extinction in a way, or finding plants that maybe our grandparents grew and used but have fallen out of favor because they're not really a seed that you can take to market. Meaning, for example, oh my gosh, I just don't know why people don't grow tomatoes because heirloom tomatoes taste so incredible when they're warmed in the sun, but they're very delicate and they don't have a long shelf life. Like they couldn't be picked in California and sent to Washington and sit all banged around on the shelf for a long time. These I basically need to pick them and eat them because they're a precious commodity in that moment. So, but these heirloom ones don't last. And I'm telling you, there is nothing like them. They have flavor you cannot even imagine. They are so yummy. So, when you need seed, when you sometimes need to source seed from other, I think it's really important on your journey to pay mind who you are listening to for support. Yes, gather seed and support from people who resonate with you and understand what your value is, like what matters to you. Does it matter to you that are working with people that have high integrity? Is it important that your work? I mean, there are people out there that have high integrity, but maybe don't have a good understanding of how to support you. Or maybe there's someone that has a good idea how to support you and doesn't have great integrity or not a lot of experience. But you get to decide. Like maybe someone doesn't have a great reputation, but they have really great materials that you know are going to help you. So, just for you to be really clear about what you're bringing in, if you need to borrow seed to plant in your own garden, and I mean all of your gardens. And then the other next exciting thing about sourcing seed is once we have a garden going, it is our duty to harvest and save seeds and share seeds. So, in my time growing plants, I've learned how to store seeds. I've learned how to pick the best seeds from the plants that I have, and I've learned how to gift them onward to people that, or to share them. I have some friends that have gardens too, and we share the seeds that we have grown and exchanged. And wow, what an incredible opportunity for gifting and gratitude in that way. And what a great way it is to share our resources. It's really a beautiful metaphor. So, on your path, as you are growing your own internal garden, there may be some seeds that you could gift to someone else who's just starting out or maybe struggling with that particular plant that you're maybe really good at growing and they're still working on figuring that out. Gosh, I could say so much more about gardening, and that was just like scratching the surface. um, what else do I want to say about gardening? Hmm, I think that's sufficient for today. That's sufficient for today. So, my question for you is, what are the seeds that you're planting? What are you learning about your own fertile soil of who you are? How might you create a beautiful, abundant garden this year? How might we support you in making that happen? Also, I hope that my mic worked okay through this. I've been having challenges and I hope that it's okay. So, if I've been having mic challenges this whole time, I hope someone will let me know. What are some final things I'd like to share? So, before we sign off today, I want to just share that our Mighty Guardian Network is a private network off of Facebook. If you'd like to join us there, that would be fantastic. If you want to find it, just go to Mighty Networks and search for Guardian at the Gateway and come on in. It's basically a free space for us to keep having these great conversations. Additionally, the Full Spectrum Vitality Collective is jumping off with our first intensive month on February 1st. And we would love to have you there if you're interested in participating. If you're not sure about what that's about, reach out. I'm happy to talk with you. My assistant is happy to talk with you. Also, there's 2 seats remaining in the optimizer pathway. So again, we'd love to have you there if this feels resonant to you. All right, my friends, this has been a fun topic for me. I'd love to hear your feedback and what your thoughts are. And yeah, take care, and I'll talk to you next Monday. Bye.